My name is Fredrick Afrifa. I'm a full-time speaker and I want to show you how you can become a full-time speaker yourself. I make these videos because a lot of people have courses that cost thousands of pounds that don't actually help. And I want to dispel all the myths around speaking and how to get paid to speak. So if I had to start my whole speaking career again, how would I do it? So the first thing are a few warnings or a few mindsets to take into consideration if you're actually thinking about speaking. And the first one is the concept that you have to learn before you earn. And I say a lot of the examples that I give about speaking are actually relevant to pretty much any service industry or any small business. So you have to learn before you earn. What does that mean? People that get paid tens of thousands of pounds to speak are really good at what they do. And the only way to get really good at what you do is to actually do it a lot. So adopting a learning phase before earning phase is exactly what Alex Hormozy says to anyone that's starting a business. And that's actually the quickest way to get ahead. And a lot of people, especially at early stage, they expect to get paid. Whether you're a speaker or videographer, they're like, oh, why am I doing this for free? But actually, if people are offering for you to speak for free, in my opinion, they're doing you a favor because you're getting free opportunities to practice. You're getting opportunities to showcase. And look, the first time you're not going to be anywhere as good as you think you are, and you're only going to get better. So that's the first warning and mindset hack. The second one is to actually look at it more so as a journey rather than a destination. I know that's a cliche, but it's really important because if your goal is, for example, to be a global speaker, you have no idea how long it's going to take you to get booked globally. For me, it took me 4 years. I know people that it's taken 9 years, and for other people, it may take a couple of years. But actually, what you have to do is enjoy the journey because else it's going to be a hell of a long journey. The third and final mindset warning I'm going to give you is that comparison is a double-edged sword. So you can look at people like myself or established speakers and say, hey, oh my goodness, what they're doing is so inspiring. How can I learn from them? How can I do the things that they did to get them to those places? You can watch these videos. And in that case, comparison isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, because it's a double-edged sword, because you could also look at us and think, oh my goodness, I want to get there so badly, but you don't know that in these 4 years, I've had 16-hour days, I've had sleepless nights, I've spent thousands of pounds on myself. These are the things that people don't usually tell you, right? And that's actually how I was able to cheat the system and shrink the timeline for me. The first thing to think about if you're now getting into speaking is, who are you? Why should people listen to you? What are you going to speak about? One of the challenges in this space is that people look up to Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins, and they're motivational speakers. But they are experts. Their expertise lies in getting people from a state of where they are now to a state of where they want to go. Tony Robbins is actually an expert in psychology and building people's momentum, helping them feel motivated. That is a skill. It's not just about going up and speaking and telling your story. It's about being an expert. People that get paid to speak are not speakers. They are experts, and people want to hear their expertise. So they pay them money to hear their expertise. The higher your expertise, the higher the level of people that want to hear from you, the more they are going to pay. When I get booked to speak, I get booked for 2 reasons. The first one is people want to hear my story. Through my story, I have mastered the act of inspiring people. And I'm an expert in inspiring people through storytelling. That's one way that I get booked. But the way I make most of my money is through my expertise in communication skills. I am a communication skills expert. Why is that important? Because if you're an expert, you're not only going to get paid through keynotes. You can get paid through helping people one-to-one. You can get paid by helping one to a small group, or you can get paid to speak one to many in keynotes. You can get paid for webinars. I got paid to go on an Instagram live for 30 minutes. That's because I'm an expert and people want to hear my expertise. And if I was to start again in 90 days, the first thing I would have to establish is what my expertise. And you want to get these things ticked off nice and early so then you can actually accelerate your progress. Because I know people that have been speaking for 2-3 years, I ask them these questions and they're like, I'm not too sure. And then it derails your whole progress. So What are your expertise? Let's actually dissect the word expertise. What is an expert? It sounds very intimidating. An expert is someone that knows a topic more than other people. Being an expert doesn't mean that you are the number one in this industry globally. It just means that you know more than a certain amount of people on a certain topic. There are people that are more knowledgeable than me when it comes to communication skills, but there are people that are way less knowledgeable than me. So I can still consider myself an expert. We all have things that we can be experts in. And that's the beauty of it. That if you have no expertise at the moment, you can just gain expertise. If you're finding this video valuable, don't forget to like and subscribe. Back to the video. I wasn't always an expert in this field, but what I did is lots of research, read lots of books, met lots of people, and I became an expert. I gained the expertise. So that's the great thing about it. A lot of the times we're not born with these expertise. You already, because of your life experiences, you already know more about a topic than most people. You may have already experienced burnout and you got on the other side of it. And you may want to speak to busy professionals about how to avoid burnout or how to escape it or get out of it if you're currently burnt out. You could be a mother of two. You could be speaking to women about balancing your 9 to 5 with being a mother of two, because there are always going to be new mothers that have no idea how to balance that. Like, these life experiences are valuable, are gold. You're probably already sitting on a gold mine of information. And your job is just to sit down and think, what are my expertise? What are things that I just know more than other people? Once you've established what your expertise are, then part 2, who needs to hear them? Who are you going to speak to? And if I was starting again in 90 days, I was established what are my expertise and who needs to hear these expertise. Now, the type of people that will want to hear your expertise will dictate how much you get paid. So I help people get good at speaking under pressure. Pretty much everyone needs to learn these expertise. I could teach students, because students need to hear this. That is one market, but that is nowhere near as lucrative as teaching bankers. So that's when you start to think about leverage. And how I define leverage, or how Alex Hormozi taught me to define leverage, is simply pulling a lever. Because how can I pull a lever and get more from less? So how can I do one thing and get more? So similarly, if I teach a banker at a private bank how to speak well under pressure, they are going to bring in millions to that bank. So that bank paying me tens of thousands for that service is nothing to them, because they will use that service to bring in millions. If we look at schools, I could teach a student how to do that, but there is no leverage, because what will then happen with the student? Yes, further down the line, that will help the student, but it's actually not going to bring in any more money to that institution. So when thinking about your expertise and who can benefit from your expertise, try and find leverage. Try and find people that if you help, they will gain financially, then you can charge a higher fee against the amount of money that they will get. So another great example is I work a lot in higher education. So I'm working with a university, a very established university. And initially, I only worked with the lecturers and people that would have to deliver presentations. Now that's cool, but I said to that university, how about I work with people in research or in philanthropy? Because these people will gain these skills to bring the university more money. So if I help the university bring in 50 million, the university will happily pay me 100,000, rather than just training a group of lecturers on getting better at communicating that won't have any difference on the bottom line of that business. And that's how you need to start thinking as a speaker. Like, you're not just a speaker, you're an expert. If anything, you're a small business, you're a business owner. And what you want to do is provide a service that will help other businesses. Don't be intimidated by the word expertise. Being an expert is just simply you knowing more than other people. And it's either a lived experience that you can extract lessons from, or you can just gain expertise. If you don't know anything about ads, you can just learn a lot about ads and become an expert on ads. It's actually not that complicated. Once you've gained these expertise, then I want you to look at which group of people will benefit the most from your expertise, and try and use as much leverage as possible when making that decision. So with the ads example, if you manage to learn a lot about ads and you figure out how to run ads on Snapchat and Instagram, then look at the groups of people that will benefit from your ads. And it might be business owners. But within business owners, there'll be newbie business owners, or there'll be businesses in tech that are turning over 100 million. What you want to do is go for them and try and appeal to them. And yes, you might have to start with the newbie business owners, but have in mind that you want to go with the highest leveraged opportunity so you can get the most out of your efforts. I hope this has helped. My name is Fredrick Afrifa. I'm a full-time speaker, and what I do is I make these videos so that you can become a full-time speaker as well. If you found this video valuable, if you found it engaging, and if you learned anything at all that you didn't know before about the speaking industry, all I ask is that you subscribe, like this video, comment what you learned. I always go through the comments and I like to engage, and also share this with a friend that maybe wants to get into speaking or wants to start a small business, because with this information, with your implementation, you can change your life. It's been Fredrick Afrifa, over and out.